The TV show Baby Reindeer continues to make headlines, of course, another Netflix show, with the National Stalking Helpline reporting a 47% increase. That's huge, isn't it? In calls, that's compared to last year, with some believing it's possibly due to the show. I think it is, actually. Well, Matthew Wright, now Matthew himself was stalked back in 2018. He joins me now. Now, up 47%. I don't think there's been a sudden increase in stalkers all of a sudden. It's just that maybe, and particularly men, having watched Baby Reindeer, maybe they feel that they can actually talk about it now.
I think that is the case. I think
so.
I have such mixed feelings about the show.
I understand.
But that's a positive.
Yeah,
that is a positive.
It is.
And I'm not saying that the positive justifies the negatives, but it is a positive.
Sure.
And it shows patterns of behaviour, both by men towards women and women towards men, because he does. I mean, he's as much a stalker of her. I mean, I found arguably
it was
the most
strange. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Turning up is one thing, but him turning up and looking through her window,
I know,
kind of crossed the line.
Very complicated, wasn't it?
The blurring, sexual blurring of boundaries as well, and so when I reflect upon it on my stalking situation, I never wanted to go and visit my stalker's house.
Indeed.
I didn't want to buy my stalker a drink. I didn't want to see this woman. I didn't want to have anything to do with her at all.
Of course.
And that's where the lines are blurred in Baby Reindeer, because it's not like a normal stalking case.
No, that's true.
There is such a thing.
And I think that was part of the reason why he wanted to do it as well. He didn't. He could have painted himself in a much better light, but he didn't. He was very honest in that sense. But you know, anybody who's been at the other end of this, it's horrendous.
Yes.
I mean, it was hellish, wasn't it? I remember because it must have been hard for you to watch that show, knowing what you'd gone through.
I was aware of it already because of media, so that's helpful. So it wasn't like a big shock.
No.
But the first moment where it was a real was, I think it's episode 2, it might have been episode 3, and it's the first moment that I think it's when he's doing his comedy act and she's suddenly in the audience.
Yes.
And I did a charity fashion awards, just locally for my community centre, and everybody had glammed up. It was very sort of she, and this woman was in, and I didn't even recognise her because there was the person I used to see around my TV show, around my neighbour, but she was very glammed up, all her hair was done. You know, she looked like a star, and it was my wife said, no, that's her.
Oh, my God.
And so she turned up and was in the middle of this to-do. And, you know, I'm trying to interact with people, and then I was saying, no, we've got to go, and then she followed us. It was all,
It was horrible, Matthew. It really wasn't it? A very, very difficult time, not just for you, but obviously for your wife as well.
We had a new baby,
I
so...
know, and you'd want to enjoy that. That's what I think is so awful about when anybody is stalked. It sucks all the joy out of your life and the trust as well. You start being wary.
It was looking over your shoulder.
Exactly.
After the moment in my community, every time we went out the front door, you wondered about what you were going to encounter.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, there you are, and she used to look at you through the letterbox.
She turned up at the letterbox. She just had the baby. She was banging on the door, trying to take photos through the letterbox, demanding that we produce the baby. There was arguing about, you know, there was a lot of abuse of Amelia. She had imagined herself as my partner, which there's another sort of, that's kind of what happens in Baby Reindeer, but obviously I wasn't responding
not at all, not in any way, absolutely not. What would be your, because, you know, obviously this happens a lot more than we realise.
Yes.
We've seen that already, and I think there is a lot of people that you had to take action, you had to do something because it was impacting on your life so very much. I think the police and the authorities are taking that a lot more seriously now. But anybody that's going through it, what would you say, having been there yourself?
Richard Gadd, the writer, said that in the character he felt that the police response was difficult and inadequate.
Right.
And with our stalker, the police response initially was inadequate.
Right.
But as things snowballed, the police became much more involved. And I have to say, after we started having visits at home, action was taken very, very swiftly.
Good.
There's another element of Baby Reindeer, which I suppose it makes it more confusing still, is that the main character Donnie is himself a victim of abuse.
Yeah.
And it is kind of well known that those that are abused can then become abusers themselves because they can't reconcile the abuse they've been through. And that makes it even more complicated to understand that all three of the major characters are quite unpleasant because they're all damaged.
Yes.
And I didn't want my stalker to be sent to prison initially. We wanted her to receive medical help.
Yeah,
we took the view
clearly not well, of course.
And unfortunately, as anybody in recent years may have experienced trying to get mental health support for people with serious mental health difficulties, there just wasn't any support out there.
No.
And so we went from trying to get her help to we need the full extent of the law. And, you know, you don't want people to be... She got a restraining order, a banning order. She wasn't allowed to come near her home. She respected it. She didn't go to prison. All of that is good.
Yes.
But I'm not sure she got the help that she required.
Right, that's a really good point, Matthew, because, you know, we're always talking about raising awareness, and quite rightly so. But there's no point, in a sense, of doing that if you can't then make sure that these people, poor souls, most of them, get the help they need.
Get help, get fixed, move on.
Exactly.
Richard Gadders, on Opportunity in his show, he said he's written as a sort of therapy, reconciling the abuse he had with the experience of the stalker. He's put it all down, and I think that's a wonderful thing to do. I'm just not sure if I was him, I would then choose to put it on Netflix and sell it around the world, because it's your truth, it's your story, but you bring other people into your truth, and we can already see the fallout, people trying to guess who's who, and I'm not sure that's very helpful.
No, that's true. It's very complicated, isn't it? But you're fine now.
We're all fine.
Okay.
We're all fine.
I'm glad.
I don't think Mrs. Wright wasn't very keen to come and, you know, it's an episode she wants to.
No, I can understand that completely, but it was just that it has been brought back into the, you know, the public forum, if you like. It's an issue, and you know it. You've lived it. You had to go through.
There's an irony here that Richard Gadd tried to buy my wife a drink the other day. In fact, he tried to get her to buy him a drink.
Really? Are you nailed? Oh, my goodness.
How weird is that?
That is very strange, and you're obviously neighbours. Do you know what? Well, I interviewed him, and I felt
Dundee
very...
United fan,
yes,
isn't he?
he's a fellow Dundee United fan, and we contacted everybody involved, but clearly, you know, it's made such a huge impact, and will continue to do so. As I said, we contacted his lawyers and Netflix and everyone else too, but... Thanks for coming in. It's so good to see you.
And you too.
It really is. Enjoy LBC. I'm enjoying listening to you.
Most kind. Cheers, Laura.